The threat of the Chinese Communist government has dominated talks between Australian and US ministers. AUSMIN is out to counter the increasing aggression from China and provide enough combined strength to effectively deter them from invading Taiwan. No easy task, I know, to say the least. Liberal Party Defence and National Security Policy Chair Lincoln Parker is all over the latest. Lincoln, so great to see you. Is this one of the most important AUSMINs that we've had in recent times anyway?
Oh, it absolutely is. So we haven't faced the kind of threat that we're facing from a very large, aggressive nation since the 1940s. And so we're seeing the United States and even the President of France take it more seriously than it seems Australia is doing. I mean, Emmanuel Macron actually visited Noumea. So, you know, we've not seen this kind of threat that the globe faces in a very long time. And so, therefore, the Americans have come down. You've got the Secretary of State, you've got the Secretary of Defence meeting in Brisbane today with their counterparts from Australia. Yeah,
I heard, without notice, Caroline Kennedy talking on radio today about the fact that the US have identified our region now as the most important. And I think the term she used was something along the lines of, we've been distracted in other areas, but our focus is fully now on the Pacific region. Is it a little bit too late, do you think? What is the lack of focus from the most powerful country in the world done to the security in our region?
Well, I think the United States kind of looked to Australia to look after our patch and our region and conduct effective diplomacy across the South Pacific and part of the Indo-Pacific. And it seems that we just haven't done that. And the United States and France and even the UK and sometimes Germany are having to step up and fill that void. The United States has signed a defence cooperation agreement with Papua New Guinea, which, you know, as we all know, is directly to our north, and yet we haven't done that. And, you know, 80 years ago, we were nearly invaded through Papua New Guinea. Yeah. And so, yeah, it's an incredibly important time, and it doesn't seem that the mainstream media or indeed the government is talking to the public about this and enlightening the public on just what kind of threat that we are facing.
Well, it's a great point you make, because you don't want people living in fear all the time, but I feel like there's this almost disconnect, and we're so blessed in this country because we are a little bit isolated, but not from that threat.
No, we're absolutely not. Well, we had the Chief of the Royal Australian Air Force answer a question the other day that said, are you confident that you could defend our northern bases? His answer was no.
No chance.
So, of course, we don't want to upset anybody, but of course you need to be prepared. A government's first role is the security and safety of Australia.
So what was on the agenda today?
So they're talking about this. They're talking about regional cooperation and defence cooperation, and we've just had Talisman Sabre exercises going on, which the Americans also visited up in the top end. Which is the largest Talisman Sabre exercises ever undertaken, with over 30,000 soldiers across 13 countries. And so we're focusing on what we can do together with the Americans to provide a credible deterrent to prevent China from invading Taiwan and being more aggressive across the world, and particularly across the Indo-Pacific and our region.
Yeah. All tied into this, of course, the Solomon Islands. You were on a couple of weeks ago and one of the first people to talk publicly about this issue, talking about reopening embassies and that kind of thing. What do we need to do to secure them as an ally for us, as opposed to, and we know they're already in China's pocket, can we do anything now to reverse what has occurred?
Well, I think we can and we should, and I think we need to do more than just hugs diplomacy. So, you know, the only time that Prime Minister Albanese and Foreign Minister Wong seemed to even think about the Solomon Islands was directly before the last election, and suddenly they found it important and they went and did big trips, and then we've heard nothing, absolutely nothing, and since then the Solomons have only slid further into China's orbit. So I think we need to do anything more than what they are currently doing, and that means engaging more on the ground in the Solomon Islands and coming up with some ideas as to how to be the Pacific family that we keep saying they are.
Another question without notice. I keep hearing your name mentioned regarding Warringah and potential pre-selection, that you may be a leading candidate there.
Well, of course, I can't comment on any internal Liberal Party matters, but surely, you know, people in teal seats, and Warringah is a teal seat, and are asking questions about the teal so-called representatives. Well, what have you done? Show me the money. You've been a representative of Warringah, Zali, for 5 years. What's on the scoreboard? Well, there's a big zero. And so, yeah,
okay, that was a great start to your campaign, Lincoln. I wish you all the best. Thank you so much for your expertise. Really appreciate it.